Hello and welcome to Feedback for the week of September 29th. I get to sit in the big chair this week because Adam is still gone. Anyway, I'm joined by Casey Schreiner, the host of the MMO Report, hiker, dog whisperer.
Mm-hmm. All around general awesome guy.
Made that last part up, but whatever.
Don't forget Office Jesus.
Yeah,
Don't
true.
forget. No one else
I
does.
can't believe I did that. I've already screwed up this entire show. I'm quitting. And also JP, our resident metal expert on X-Play.
Indeed.
I wasn't going to go with your real job. You just know way more about rock facts than all the rest of us.
Hey, man, metal and gaming, what more to life is there? I defy you.
I'm not going to challenge you right now. I've been in this stand-up. I don't want to be there.
Stay far away.
And then Eric Eckstein, who reviewed Civilization 5 and is also the editorial director for G4TV.com and the person who keeps all the candy on his desk, which is the only reason we go into his office.
It's true. Everyone comes in every 5 minutes for a Kit Kat or a Starburst.
Sometimes I make
Everyone's
up excuses.
welcome.
Like, I don't even have anything to say to you, but I just go and grab
it's
candy.
there.
Yeah, your office rules, dude. Or at least the
Thank you
candy
very
jar.
much.
Yes.
Exactly.
So starting out with news today, I'm going to do both jobs of hosting and news because, again, filling in for Adam. Our first story has to do with Double Fine. Tim Schafer and Ron Gilbert working together again. The interview, if you've read, is absolutely hilarious. If you can find some of that online, I'm excited to see what these two will produce. Anybody strong? I know JP wants to get in here so bad.
I want to see the behind the scenes on the making of whatever game they're doing because I can imagine and both dudes are incredibly hard workers and talented and everything, but I imagine it being like 20 minutes of work and like an hour and a half of trying to make each other laugh. But you're talking about the guys who came up with Maniac Mansion and Monkey Island and like all these games that to me define comedy video games forever, you know, and they're back together again. Cool.
Yeah, and comedy games is a genre that I think there needs to be more of. And now, especially with all the touch interface stuff like the iPads and iPhones, you can get back to that LucasArts style of adventure gameplay. Like, I don't think I've ever laughed as hard as I did when I played Day of the Tentacle.
And it's great, you know, they said there's some adventure to everything, right? Ron Gilbert said that even Deathbank had some adventure game to it. Bring it back. Mm-hmm. I'm playing Monkey Island 2 Remix right now, and it's hard as hell, but it's awesome.
And so I guess we also know that it's not the second game that THQ is publishing these smaller games that they're working on. Maybe the third or fourth.
They said they had 4 games. One is Custom Quest, imminent.
Small games also, not like full box retail downloadable games, which is
What's interesting, we were talking about comedy games around the office the other day, and we're trying to think of, well, what are the real funny games that are out there? They don't really make funny games. There's funny parts in existing shooters and adventure games.
And when I think of funny
Brutal
games,
Legend
I can
was-
only come to mind with games that those two have worked on.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Brutal Legend was hilarious. I loved it. Well,
Except
I mean,
for Skull
and I'm
Monkeys,
totally
which I
biased
always
because I'm a
bring up.
metalhead. But what's that?
Except for Skull Monkeys, which I always bring up.
Yes, and that's a great game too.
I would argue that Portal is also very, very funny.
Yes.
Okay.
Although not
That's a good one.
not the focus of the game. I did laugh quite a bit playing Portal.
You know, he's right though because Valve, Left 4 Dead had all that hidden
Hilarious,
comedy stuff
yeah.
in it too.
For such a dark game.
The zombies killed God.
Yep.
That's my favorite line. But more companies I would love to see embrace funnier titles. I mean, there's a wacky stuff. Again, a lot of it is downloadable titles.
Yeah, Ratchet and Clank has a bit of it.
Yeah, definitely.
But outside, I'm sure there's a million games we're forgetting, but the ones that immediately come off the top of my head are those series. I don't know about you guys if you have any other favorites.
Not that those guys didn't make. Grim Fandango was one of my favorites.
Classic.
I think it's just much easier to make a funny game that is an adventure game, where it's very dialogue heavy, very character focused, than having some throwaway lines in a shooter. I mean, Matt Hazard, they tried to do the whole funny game bit, and it didn't really work.
And anytime I was like, oh, that might be funny, I was so angry at the gameplay that, I had no sense of humor left.
Yeah.
Okay, well, our second story is, again, JP is just going to be excited about everything we talk about today, although I'm excited about this
That's because
one,
I'm
too.
working off no sleep. Throw it at me.
Smugglers in the Old Republic are getting their very own Wookiee.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I always say I
You
need
didn't even
a
let
Wookiee.
me say Wookiee before you yelled yes.
I knew where this was going. I want a Wookiee. Wookiee is my co-pilot.
Right. Well, they can't use force powers, so you have to give them something
I did it all for the
awesome.
Wookiee. All right, I'm sorry. I can't wait to see the flame war that happens on the fan board over that one.
You're never allowed on.
Yes, I want to be a smuggler though. In this, go
I
ahead.
do too, but it's like, I think it's a little weird, and maybe I'm nitpicking, but it's like everybody has a Wookiee, and everybody not only has a Wookiee, but they have a Wookiee named Bodar. Is that his name? Something?
Yeah,
Bodar, yeah.
And I guess what I don't fully understand about Knights of the Old Republic is how much are you crafting your own story, and how much are you part of a larger universe? Because if everyone's running around with Bodar doing something, it just takes a little bit less from what I'm doing.
Fair enough.
in the
I mean,
news,
secretly,
you
you could call him anything you want.
know? I guess.
I mean,
Chuckles.
Put
Again,
a piece of
I
tape
still
over the
hope to
screen
see
and just
that-
move it around with him.
that'll be more fun though to see people running around that than a million Jedis running around too. I'm hoping that it entices people to play as some of the other classes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
well, yeah.
you definitely don't want everyone being a Jedi. I think those guys do have a pretty good record of storytelling as far as games are concerned. And I agree, it's going to be a little bit weird that everyone has a Wookiee at first, but I mean, you're not going to let them just role play swarthiness either. Like they have to have something.
Yeah, you do need the incentive because, I think when we saw the trooper class earlier this year, there was that element of like, oh, this is really cool, but force powers,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, where's my lightsaber? So,
Although, and playing as a badass bounty hunter could be totally awesome as well.
yeah.
Well, it
Well,
seems
I
like
think I
it's-
have enough of a history with the series and like cool characters that are bounty hunters that I think they'll definitely have their takers.
I feel like a lot of the classes, that's a game that you're going to want to probably play a lot of the different classes and
Oh, yeah.
at the same time, pretty much, and then see really where your personal style of play fits.
And especially since each one has its own unique, character story arc. That's an incentive to just play everything. Which
Are you
one
guys going to
stick
play
with.
good or evil?
I'm always good. Always good. I don't play evil characters.
I
Yeah.
am too, but I don't know why. But I want to be a in that game.
I'll speak for Adam. He's going to be. He always. Plays
Adam
bad
always
guys.
plays a bad guy
Always.
though. His character in Fallout was like the most evil creature ever created,
Horrible,
if I
horrible
remember.
human being. So was his Mass Effect character.
Yes.
You're really just
What
a
is
bad,
this saying
bad
about
person.
things? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't want to hypothesize. We'll let him
No,
address
let's
that.
just
when
put that
he's
away.
back.
Exactly.
He's a
Bad.
digital tyrant.
Why are you such a bad person?
We want answers, Adam.
Sure. This is my favorite news story of the week, by the way. The next one is Sony is warning that fake PS3 controllers might explode, which is really a good way to eliminate the competition.
Does anybody have, like, I have one. I remember I had to get another PS3 controller. I was like, oh, I
Has
don't
it
want to spend another
exploded yet?
$40, $50. I mean, now I'm worried. It's sitting on a shelf and I don't want to touch it, but it's like one of these gray kind of.
It's
it
all
looks
fun
like
and
it's gonna
games
break
until
apart.
somebody loses an eye or a crotch or
The,
fingers.
Now, this is the same warning that people have had on like Game Boys and cameras for years, right? It's
Yeah.
like where don't mix the batteries or it might explode.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever seen a camera explode because you put two different types of batteries in it?
No.
Has anyone seen a
No.
controller explode because you put two different types of batteries in it, or
None of this
plug
needs
in
a
a
fake
different?
Well, okay. My phone the other week all of a sudden went like I'm way too hot, shutting off now, and I was like, I'd been using I think
that's
the
an
video
iPhone.
function for a while. Yeah.
They just do that. That's
Yeah.
just what they
You-
do.
you
But I
weren't-
was sort
you
of
weren't-
expecting it to burst into flames or something exciting.
You were enjoying it too much. Apple wanted you to stop.
Don't
This
have
is
too
coming
much
from
fun with
Steve
that.
Jobs. He knows.
I'm going to read the official statement from Sony just because this makes me laugh, and I'm sorry it does. SEA advises consumers to be cautious when buying PlayStation 3 wireless controllers from uncertain sources, as the quality, reliability, and safety of counterfeit products is uncertain and in some cases may be dangerous. It is possible that some counterfeit product might ignite or explode, resulting in injury or damage to the user.
This makes me think of some unsavory, unshaven, just dirty character in a back alley with a trench coat going,
Hey,
"Hey
kid.
kid, come here."
Come here.
Yeah.
Back alley.
I got your
Now-
PlayStation 3 controller right here.
Now, are we sure this is not just the next step in the evolution of gaming to have realistic explosions in the living room?
I don't know, but also when you're making that very general statement about like you're killing all third-party controllers, even the ones that might work functionally, because you're not saying specifically like it is this brand, it is this, in the statement. You're just saying, well, everybody, and that's what most people see. They see the little statement, and there go third-party sales for PS3 controllers.
At first, I thought it was a clever Kevin Butler-esque
Yeah, I kind of did,
thingy,
too.
and then
They're too funny.
Nope, I think it's actually real.
This is a serious threat.
No irony here.
I hope
Weird.
it's not a joke on all of us, because that would be embarrassing. All right, and the next one, again, these are all like, this is JP's news story week. Halo Reach is fighting for the most played online title with Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2 held that top slot for 10 months. Right now, Modern Warfare 2 is still winning, but it is very, very close, and Modern Warfare has dropped by 50% since Reach came out. And I looked at the numbers, 200 million, I don't even...
Yeah, did you see the
Yeah,
Bungie
wait till the
numbers?
holidays, though, when more parents buy the games for the kids and stuff, too. I think it's going to really close. But you were saying about the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it also is that the first week people are probably playing the campaign. So not,
Yep.
immediately jumping into multiplayer most likely, but
You'd
still
be
campaign.
surprised. I know a lot of people
just
who I
jumped
end
in.
up playing with who are like, oh yeah, I haven't even with Modern Warfare as well. Like I haven't even played the single player campaign, just straight into multiplayer. I never do that. I have to finish the campaign before I play
Yeah.
multiplayer because I know I'll never go back to it.
Again, I'm chalking it up to the new perk system that they put in there. Even though they're all useless, it's the pellet at the end of the stick. I keep going for it, just like give me more. Like, I have to hit that daily kill count or I can't shut it off.
For the challenges you're talking about?
Yeah,
specifically?
I love them. I love them.
challenges
To
are
me,
really
that's
cool.
one of my favorite things that they added to Halo. Like, now I have a compelling reason besides my obsessive need to constantly play that game to keep
And it
playing
works.
it.
It's not broken. Aside from people
Yeah.
quitting matches, it's not broken.
It's true. I've had very good luck with stable servers, and for the most part, I set that room selection thing. Like, hey, I don't want to be with talkative people and all this stuff.
I
the
love that
non-competitive.
also.
Yeah.
I noticed that in the beta that was like that has to be one of my favorite features in any game. I didn't find that it was working to the degree like because the first time I chose like I want to play in a room where everybody just shuts the hell up. There was some kid just screaming like who must have been 10 and I it was just not what I'd signed up for.
What's interesting about the challenges, though, is that I don't really care about credits. Like, I was looking at what I can buy. I mean, some of the higher end stuff, 200,000 for some of the armor effects or the voices that could be kind of fun.
For a helmet that
But I
looks
don't-
slightly different.
Yeah, I don't really care about that. I don't really care about a thigh pad or something that goes on my shoulder,
No.
left shoulder versus right shoulder.
For me, it's just the leveling up the rank.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
all.
want to keep seeing my little chevrons go up, and
Yeah, that's
I
enough.
mean, that's enough for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
But some
then-
of those stats that were out there from Bungie, because they said there was a
yeah,
manual
please, if
reporting
you
error.
have them sitting right there, enlighten us.
Sure, this was Halo reached specific numbers from week 1. 70 million plus games have been played. 2 million plus files have been uploaded to their file shares. 165 billion credits have been earned. So,
Wow.
I mean, that speaks a lot to these challenges, which they say also 20 million daily challenges have been completed. And that was just week 1. So,
And that was just JP signing on them.
over and over and over again, different profiles.
I will also be really excited to see what the how the Black Ops numbers stack up against it all, and how they stack up against Modern Warfare as well. Should I'm sure it'll be pretty far up there, and also because you can upload the videos now. I want to see how those compare as well, and to see if that community has been aching as much as I have to have the ability to share all that content.
What I think another thing that Halo is doing right is the fact that you can upload your custom play type, like your races or your special firefight things, so that you can achievement horror or whatever. All that stuff is fun, and it gives you more reasons to keep logging on outside of the typical Team Slayer, Big Battle, Invasion, that stuff. You can see what kind of stuff other people create, which I think is really compelling and
You're
cool.
not waiting for the company to come around and give you the new options or the new maps. It's that you're creating them yourself. I think that's going to
Yeah.
be its driving force into next year. You
Yeah,
have to
and
imagine
as
this is gonna
we've
people
seen
to
with
play
It's
for
nice
money
not to have to wait for DLC, right?
and pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
pay
modding
$5,
community
so.
is getting so good at creating stuff. I mean, look at the Left 4 Dead mods. They're as good as anything that
Amazing.
anybody, game company comes out with.
Yeah.
And I'm down with that,
Yeah, I am too. And our very last news story, which is pseudo a news story, Nintendo is 121 years old.
Aw.
Oh, happy
Like
birthday.
125
She
or
looks good
something,
at her age.
even. Yeah, looks terrific. This is I love that Nintendo is not just the video game company that we know and love. There is actually a whole backstory to how long they've been around and why they've been around so long, and the various business endeavors that they've been involved in, which includes taxi cabs, instant rice. They were mostly known for these playing cards, but my favorite one, Love Hotels. I mean, given the squeaky clean image that
Yeah, I did
Nintendo
not know that.
has
The Nintendo
to most
No-Tell Motel?
gamers, that's good. If they had hired you, maybe they would still be in that business, JP.
That's right. Instantly, my mind goes, never mind.
Yeah, I don't want to know that. I don't know.
Marriage
I don't
of
want to know
video
where that sentence
games and
goes.
love hotels. come
That's
together.
right. You've heard my band before. Come on.
Has anyone ever played with the actual? Because you can get that card game right through Club Nintendo.
Can
Yeah, I
you
think
really?
so.
I think you can. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I have
not
not. I'm
no one
sorry.
here is using them.
No.
Any Love Hotels or Rice or anything?
No, but I know a cab driver.
Not their
With
brand,
Nintendo cab
but
driver.
yeah, not their brand of it, but sure. And then the reason that everybody is actually here today, and why we have Casey
Yes.
and Eric, who did the Civilization 5 review, is that we're going to talk about Civ 5.
Civ 5.
So you did the review, so maybe you can give us a quick rundown of the most important points, things that you specifically want to address. That would be awesome.
Sure. I mean, Civ 5, it's funny that we're here gathering to talk about a turn-based strategy game in this day and age, because I don't think people, they're dying. They're on the vine right
Well, that's
now.
why we brought Guitar Hero in, too.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. So we get the other side of the audience. But it's a fantastic game. I mean, it's everything you know about the Civilization franchise. You're building an empire, building cities, conquering other kingdoms. But it's wrapped up in a really pretty shell. It's done a wonderful job on the interface, just improving the way that you play the game. And then there's just a host of interesting things about it, from the city states, where it's kind of like these little AIs that run around and have their own little needs and wants. And
God, they get annoying.
because you can't please everyone
20
all the
turns
time.
has passed. I'm a whiny pain in the ass now who needs you to get me diamonds or jewels or something to be happy.
Sounds like someone needs to play as the Greeks.
I was playing, yeah, that was my mistake.
just
I was
got
playing
shut
as the
down
Romans,
Civ
and all I
5
did was
style.
trying to go to war with everybody around me.
Well, and they've changed the combat in the game. I mean, it went from to a hex grid,
Yeah.
or I'm sorry, a hex-based system right now. So it changes the way that you can flank enemies, the way you move around, because you can only have one unit on each tile.
Combat is finally fun in Civ, as opposed to a tedious, awful experience of just throwing stacks at each other. I almost never went to war in Civ 4 at all, because it would just be, you would build 40 tanks or whatever, either roll over a whole civilization, or you will get stuck in a long, drawn-out trench warfare.
So it's not that you were purposely trying to be a peaceful civilization.
Well,
You're
no,
just like,
that I did too.
War is just too much work.
I will say as a badge of Civ pride that I was able to win a game of Civ 4 without ever going to war with anyone, building a trading empire with the Dutch and founding religions. But
You're
war,
Switzerland.
Yes, I was a fancy Switzerland. But in Civ 5, I've only won in war, and I put in about 20 hours of gameplay already. It's been out about a week.
Have you made any attempt to recreate your sort of peaceful civilization from before?
In the game I'm playing right now, yes, but not by choice. I was held up by the Romans and got duped into signing a peace treaty that I'm stuck in.
You got duped?
I didn't realize that the peace treaties were unbreakable in Civ 5, which is kind of lame, I think. So I'm stuck with that. And while I was biding my time researching rifling,
Clearly, you haven't played enough Risk.
Yeah.
All peace treaties are
I don't know.
breakable.
When I was playing as Alexander the Great, the idea of accepting a peace treaty seems like sacrilege, you know?
Then you're not the biggest like RTS player.
Not by a long shot, by any stretch. In fact, I picked it up and I was like, all right, everybody's talking about Civ 5. I'll give it a try. And I was like, this game I'm not feeling it. It's kind of boring. I just want to go to war with everybody.
Well, because it's a thoughtful game.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
why you have to actually think things out.
You have to go off of...
Please, more personal attacks.
Yeah.
This is good.
No, this is good. You have to use strategy as opposed to impulse. But...
I mean, I
before I
can't
realized
stand
that I was
real time.
5 hours in, and I was like, "Where the hell did my whole day go?"
Yeah.
And that I saw how dangerous
Welcome to
these games are.
civilization.
Yes,
Yeah, they have a
That
formula.
it literally
down.
sucked 5 hours of my time, and it felt like 20 minutes.
They've been making that game for 10 years, some odd. I mean, that's they just keep remaking it and remaking it. It does get better. And while I think Civ 5 is probably one of the best iteration of the series, I mean, there are some steps backwards. I thought,
Yeah.
diplomacy, I think, is kind of half baked right now. You can't tell how people are feeling about you and why
Yeah.
they're getting pissed off at you. And that's
It's really tough to get other countries to work with you.
no one wants to work.
No
with
one
you.
wants to work with you. No
just
one will work within their best interest.
Man, it's just like being here.
It sounds like UN.
But you think you have a common goal. There's one guy running around attacking every other civilization, and you're with this little dinky other, say, Indian cultures right next to you, and you're both screwing around and trying to get by together, but you can't because you're being hammered by the Romans or the
Yeah.
Greeks, and they just won't see it. They don't know because you don't have a big enough army to make the AI know that you're worth allying with. I
Yeah.
can't figure it out. I don't know what that secret
Yeah,
sauce is
I
yet.
still haven't figured out what the diplomacy system is and how it's supposed to work. In Civ 4, it was much clearer. You would mouse over the leader and get an overlay with numbers like, okay, Elizabeth doesn't like me because she is Christian and I'm Muslim, or like so-and-so didn't like me because I'm too close to their borders, or, screwed them over on a trade deal. And here it's just more like...
But they didn't like you because you screwed them over?
It sounds like a
It
really
has
bad
happened.
episode of Real World.
Yeah.
+1 for peeing in the coffee.
Yes, the eating someone's peanut butter is the same as not giving someone saltpeter. It's very similar. But in Civ 5, you kind of have to rely on body language in the cutscenes or like the tone of what they're telling you. Whether or not the Iroquois are impressed by your cultural magnificence or are getting uptight that your cities are too close to their border, like that's really the only way that you have to gauge what your relationship is with another civilization. That I think is very much a step back from Civ 4. I think.
So you're looking for some more depth to it.
I'm looking for a little bit more depth, especially in diplomacy. Although as we said, the war system is the best it's ever been in the entire history of civilization.
You can efficiently lay a siege on a town. You can go when you go to war. You don't have to manage 50 units to lead a successful war. But I think the problem with it, and I was thinking about this because I was playing it over the weekend, as I seem to be doing every day now. But I feel like the AI doesn't understand the game that was designed for it, because now there's all these new things that are available. There's embarking, where you actually you take your unit, and when you go across a river, you'll turn into a boat and then turn back into a unit, so you can cross rivers without boats and transports. But then you're defenseless, and moving your siege units to the front lines or moving, taking advantage of flanking. Like the AI doesn't really, at least in my experience, and I play it on a variety of skill levels. So I know people ask, did you play it on the hardest skill level? It's like the hardest skill levels don't change that. They don't make the AI smarter. They just up to a point. So I don't know. I don't know what your experience has been with AI.
Yeah, I've had. I'm playing it around the Prince level now, which is about what I usually play. And having the first 3 or 4 games I played were way easier than Civ 4 on that level. I was just able to roll over everybody. Now I'm finally in a situation where I got holed up, and now I have to change my strategy and deal with it. And I'm enjoying it a little bit more that way. But I do agree that the AI is not as good, or maybe not as mean as it was in Civ 4.
It's funny. This is the second week that AI has come up, because we discussed it last week when we were talking about Halo as well, and how a lot of times the enemy AI has been really good, but your cooperative partners will do some pretty amazing things with vehicles.
Well, AI is the new frontier, right? It's not about graphics.
Is.
It's not about sound. It's like we have that already.
I mean, the example I gave is when I play Left 4 Dead. The AI doesn't use projectiles, and it would really help. But that's also something that you need to know when to throw and when to use, or else you can completely screw yourself. But would that be better than having them not use it at all? Would it? AI is the new thing.
I just wonder, is that a question of processing power? Like in Left 4 Dead, the AI is also controlling the map and controlling the random placements of enemies.
I'm not saying that it's not
stuff.
amazing on many levels.
And Civ 5 seems like a fairly amazing AI system, just because it's controlling all those other parties as well, and they're all doing their own things and trying to work with
we're nitpicking, and yet it's so important to the gameplay, and having it like tweaked to perfection is something that I would love to see happen in games over the next.
And
few years.
we're also probably comparing it to the last Civ 4 expansion. Beyond the Sword it was the second or third expansion. Yeah. Beyond how many patches for that. So they have obviously worked really hard on Civ 4 and perfecting it.
And that was a single tile with the stacks. I mean, they've had years to perfect that. So now they're going to a brand new model with the hex system, and there's going to be some learning curve. But what's great about Civ, which I hope the AI can actually play into, is the modding features, where now you can very easily download mods and install them into the game, so you can play new maps, add new civilizations, take out civilizations, add units like tiny death robots. I don't know if you were able to check out your tiny death robots.
I didn't
Do you
get
have
that
an
far in the
army
game.
of tiny death robots?
Not yet, but I can't wait to.
So you can play
that
future Civ, and
there's a
little bit,
just not too much. They don't want to go too sci-fi, but thankfully, that's a different game.
Wait for Civ 6.
In space.
For next year, I'm just going to add "in space" to the end of every title.
When Friday the
coming out.
13th can go to space, I think Civilization can go to space. Anything can go to space now. So
whenever games don't have finalized titles, I'm just going to add "in space" onto the end when writing preview coverage. It's going to be awesome and make me really excited about space. All right, the other game that we're here to talk about is, of course, Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock, which I think JP and I have probably spent. I reviewed it, and JP simply sits over my desk and talks about metal and rock and roll, endlessly salivating.
I was like the guy in the Freedom Rock commercials. Turn that stuff up, man.
You laugh, but it never stops.
She's right.
Anyway,
hey, I have to listen to you slaughtering people all day. The least you can do is listen to me listening to Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Well, I mean, speaking of the track list, I think this is where JP and I are slightly at odds.
Yes.
I know. Well, the music.
Well,
seems
no.
to be
We
way
both
more
agree that Nickelback sucks.
is terrible. Okay.
I don't understand that. I mean, that just seems strange to me. When I read about that as well, I thought that was a really strange addition. But
I don't, because mainstream radio and stuff. I mean, a lot of people are buying their records. I get
from a
get
mainstream
it.
standpoint, it's just strange seeing Warriors of Rock, Nickelback.
Well, let me put it this way.
Hey, at least they have some guitar in their stuff. I can't knock them too hard, but
I think they definitely have a soundtrack that for the most part is appealing towards 30-something-year-old men. When I went online to play, after being like, oh God, I hate this band, screw Linkin Park, awful. As soon as I started playing online, that was all the songs kids were choosing. It was like Avenged Sevenfold after Avenged Sevenfold.
You can't knock
Shut up.
That song by Avenged Sevenfold in there kicks ass. They're great. In real life, they're great guitar players. So I'm down with that.
Yeah, but I conceded that as well. I think that the songs that they choose are difficult, are fun to play, and the way that they combine the rhythm and the lead guitar tracks and everything to make more complex note tracks is fantastic. And I won't deny that some of the songs are really fun to play. They're just excruciating to listen to.
Oh. Come on, man. Rockin' Tesla.
I'm
How do you get it?
freaking good at playing on mute.
Well, let me ask you this, because since you both have played
Yep.
a lot of the new Guitar Hero, because I've been feeling as Guitar Hero has been going in a certain direction that it's become more of a game, more of a music game, and Rock Band maybe less of a music game and more of a music experience in a way.
Yeah,
like
I
you can
almost.
play Rock
It's
Band
like my
socially.
party game,
Yeah.
sort of. You
Yeah.
know, like when all my friends are over, it's like,
But
all
it's
right,
cooperative
let's play.
versus competitive. You're not going to play.
Yeah.
I feel like the new Guitar Hero is more of a competitive set. It's more in your face.
I think you just hit the nail on the head. What it is the way I look at Guitar Hero is it's like a bullet hell shooter for music games. It's
It's where
there
you get
for
your
the
difficulty and your
Exactly.
competitiveness and your leaderboards and that kind of stuff.
It's more the challenge of completing these charts or getting the end of the level, whereas Rock Band is more, and having programmed a Rock Band track, I've gone through how to chart for them, and it's more the simulation of the act of playing a song. Like I feel like if I had charted my Rock Band song the way that they do the Guitar Hero stuff, I never would have made it through peer review on Rock Band Network. But in Guitar Hero, it's cool because that going into it, and I play Guitar Hero for that reason, for that challenge, and I play Rock Band for the experience of let's simulate Rock Band. But
So would you say that Guitar Hero is more for the serious fake musicians?
yes, I'd say
I
absolutely.
knew someone was going to say that at some point here.
But and I respect the fake musicians because it's way harder to play some of that shit on Rock Band and Guitar Hero than it is on real guitar. Like I can play these real solos on real guitar, and on Rock Band and Guitar Hero, forget it. I'm stuck at the hard level. Even my own song is my guitar solo, and I'm one of the lowest scores on the leaderboard.
I'm going to go play your song just to beat your score.
Yeah, you will.
I don't even know
2
why that would be
seconds.
gloat-worthy because you play the real thing, but I'm going to do it.
And but this new one, I like a lot about it. And one thing about Guitar Hero that I love, and I hope that Rock Band eventually incorporates it, is when you play bass, it's actually super fun because of the open note.
Yeah.
And also sort of just how the mix on this game is great. Like when you're playing bass, you can hear it very clear. Just how they
As
mixed
far
it
as
sounds
what
very
they,
good.
what they improved upon the game in Guitar Hero 5, which would be the sustained notes where you're playing sort of melody over them, and the open bass notes. This one has the tweak to open bass notes where you're holding like sustained open bass notes.
Yep.
And I mean, it's not there's not much in.
And that's cool because when you're playing, you hit it and you just like real band. You can throw, like a real bass player would.
That's what I do.
That's what-
Clearly.
Yeah, all of
Yeah.
us really.
Hey man, you got to live it.
Yeah. The only thing that I just thought was sort of unnecessary in the game, because I really enjoyed it. Despite my feelings on the track list, I know that will satisfy their audience, if not me. But the quest mode, where you're basically like getting power ups and recruiting all the different members that you should be familiar with from every other game,
it falls
getting
flat.
their it's.
I mean,
just
it
gets in the
just,
way.
Just that initial concept sounds neat. It's like, okay, that's a different take. I'd be interested
But
in
you would
knowing what
expect
that
to
is.
use them in sort of like a puzzle situation, but instead they all sort of like pile up at the very end when you're trying to take on like the pretty much boss level of it, and it's sort of pointless because you're just like, I have superstar power and a bajillion multiplier, and like I can't lose. I don't know. It was just I expected that there would be like
Is
a
that what
puzzle
happens? You
element
just kind
to
of
it.
just defeat the game that easy? Or you're an expert Guitar Hero player
Yeah,
as well.
pretty much. I mean, I didn't have. I mean, there are some songs on there that are absolutely ridiculous, and there's no way I would beat without that on Expert. But I always liked working for it. Like I spent hundreds of hours, when Guitar Hero first came out, and the second one and third one, because oh god, that was just the way that was charted was not fair. But just trying to beat those like last tier songs and all of it, and it was weird that I didn't really feel forced to do that, and I sort of like that. That's like my motivation. It was just kind of, and it's all narrated by Gene Simmons, who, he's not a narrator.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good band guy, not so much narrator.
He was
When
great
you're
in
a rock
Runaway.
icon, you don't have to be a good narrator. You
Fine,
just get to
whatever,
be
JG.
Gene. That's right.
Well, I think he's hilarious. I just, it was weird. I don't know. But that mode fell flat, but their quick play mode is absolutely the best it's been ever. You
Right.
can like look at everybody else who's playing on the leaderboards basically, but individual for each song, and then say like, oh, my friend got like a 500 note streak. I'm gonna try to beat that.
And that's the real key to a music game, I think, is that it should be easy to play any song you want, and it should be the challenge. And the fact that they incorporate the whole competitive aspect, which to me has always been the core of Guitar
Same.
Hero, I think this is, Guitar Hero 5 did a lot right, and this is just a polished, better version of everything it did right. As Abby called it, Guitar Hero 5.2.
Guitar Hero 5.2.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a little. I mean, that sounds derogatory, but it's not.
It's not.
Really.
I really
they
like
put out
it,
a really
yeah.
polished game last year, and this one has that with all the kind of tweaks and everything that you'd want. But it's really guitar and competition driven. Right. I think if that's the kind of game you like, and I do, so
it's back to its roots a bit, because there's singing, there's drums, there's all that stuff,
but it doesn't feel like
it feels like you're playing
that.
Guitar, yeah. And I mean that's there for the people who aren't good enough to play the tracks and want to sing and all that.
I know you're just being mean.
Yeah, hey, I'm not good enough to play some of the tracks.
Half of those songs, it's not like blistering metal. I don't know what you guys choose when you go to karaoke, but for me,
I choose Megadeth, and that's in the game.
I'm not asking you.
Oh yes. Casey. Well, Casey's a Devo guy. I've heard him do that.
I do new wave songs at karaoke
nice.
that require 3 or 4 notes maximum, and that's it.
Yeah, see, I'm down with that.
Yeah,
Eric, what's your style?
I like Ray Parker Jr.'s Ghostbusters.
Nice.
Something like that. It shows you movie songs or something ridiculous.
We can do the Spider-Man song that the Ramones did in this one. I don't know. I find this one has really impressive stat tracking. So not only does it keep track of the amount of time you've spent playing the game, but it keeps track of the amount of time that you spent playing Guitar Hero 5 and Band Hero. But it also logs all of your stats from those, so you can see like how many times you've thrown star power and how many notes that you've hit over like the lifetime and how many times you've hit notes in this game. And then it labels you. It tells you what your genre of music is. And mine is so clearly classic rock. So
interesting.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, yours is metal. We know.
Of course.
I just really enjoyed giving JP this episode. I don't know.
I can take it. It's all good.
Yeah.
Bring it. Sorry.
That was you. I looked away for a second. I thought you burped into the mic.
It was Frank over there. He's very loud sometimes.
Oh, was that really you? That was disgusting.
See, this is my thing. Anytime I'm on, I'm going to try to shout at the camera guys. Right, Paul?
There you go.
All right, cool.
All right. So, I mean...
See, Neil can Chiron them now. You see what I did there? Okay.
Yeah, it's very impressive. Everybody's going to think I hate JP, which is so not the case. Anyway, I think that pretty much sums up my points on the game. The review's up on the site. It's a 4 out of 5. Civ 5 is up on the site. That's a 5 out of 5. Mm-hmm. And
just real quick on the Guitar Hero thing, just
sure.
You guys as non-Guitar Hero fanatics, how do you feel about yet another release? Does this excite you in any? I'm actually curious to hear what you guys think on that. Just are you like, oh yes, another one, or just oh man, another one?
This one in particular. I mean, I like the Guitar Hero games. After World Tour, that was really got me. I mean, I was playing Guitar Hero 2 and 3, but World Tour really opened it up for band play because not everybody I play with wants to just go competitive guitar. So I'm curious about this one, but I was hoping the quest mode would actually end up being something interesting, so that when I'm playing alone,
you
all by my
can take
lonesome,
those powers and then apply them. You can choose 2 at a time and apply them to songs in quick play. So you get sort of a chance to see what the highest score, and I guess and that's sort of a puzzle element in like, well, if I which 2 would give me the higher score than somebody else on my leaderboards has gotten, but it's not integrated into the quest mode. Really,
I guess what's interesting, I don't really care about that. Like, I don't care about score or one-upping people. I kind of just like playing through the song. So for me, I'm looking at it as like a track pack. So if I spend $50, $60, I'm getting X amount of songs, a better Guitar Hero experience for my library of already, 100 some odd songs. So it's probably, I most likely will do it because it's just an upgrade for me.
Yeah, and for people like you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of the same way. I don't really play Guitar Hero that much. I play Rock Band. Although when my landlady yelled at me for drumming too hard, it put a serious damper on the amount of time that I could play Rock Band. But yeah, for me, it's not like they're not really changing, the gameplay that much. They're giving you more songs. Yeah. So if you want to play the songs that you like and know, you're going to buy it, and if not, you're going to let it go by.
Exactly. I would say, look at the track list and make up your mind if that's what you want to be playing or if that's not what you want to be playing. And I will say that like Rock Band has the DLC and that promise of lots of future DLC that I really enjoy. And so that makes it my party game, and then this is my like hardcore. I'm really gonna go look at the leaderboards and then crush every single score JP posts.
And she will. And my final thought on this is just as a musician, and a huge fan of all this kind of music is when I love these rhythm games, and it's funny. It makes me laugh that so many musicians knock them. Because for me, when I'm playing them, the mixes are different. I just, and by interacting with the music, I'm hearing stuff I've never heard in songs that I've heard thousands of times before. And I'm like, oh, I didn't realize he did this on the guitar, or that was a cool little drum lick right there.
I think that was one of the reasons
like
that Yoko Ono was so involved with the Beatles rock band, that they finally gave it the okay, was that people found that you actually learn and appreciate so many more parts of the music.
Yeah,
when
because
you
you're
are intricately
experiencing
involved
it in a totally different way when you're playing these games. And to me, that's why it's the new radio. I love it.
All right, and I think that sums up our game reviews for the week. And now it is time for our question of the week. How long is the perfect game? This question comes from Ara_123. A 6-hour game is deemed too short, but a 60-hour game is deemed too long, World of Warcraft excluded. How long is the perfect game? Is there a set length, or should it be determined by the story and how long they can make it enjoyable? If you play through a game that you feel is extremely compelling and you thoroughly enjoyed, but found out you only played it for 6 or 7 hours, God of War 3, for me, should you really be complaining? You got what you paid for after all, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. I think the perfect game is the perfect length
for that
game.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like Portal was an amazing game. It's like 4 or 5 hours you could beat it. Mass Effect 2 is an awesome game.
Yeah, but now you're going to be getting like the Super Portal that has like way more hours.
And I think Portal 2 should be a little bit longer because it's a standalone game. But you look at Mass Effect 2, which can go on for a year if you wanted it to.
Yeah.
And they're both excellent games in different ways. It's just the stories being told are totally different.
I was looking back at my stats before because I knew this question was coming up, and saw that I played 2 hours of Limbo and beat the game, and that was great. I was perfect. I paid $15, $10, can't remember exactly how much it cost, but I mean that seemed right for it. I played Rogue Warrior for 2 hours and beat it. Was that 2 hours worth it? Probably not. On retrospect,
I beat that twice.
Yeah, it's pretty lame. But then I spent 10 hours on Mafia 2. I didn't really like Mafia 2, but yet I spent 10 hours, and I was skipping cutscenes. So I mean, it's all up to individual preference and what you actually end up gravitating.
You were skipping the best part of Mafia 2.
Just cutscenes.
Yeah, because I didn't enjoy the game. I enjoyed the cutscenes and stuff. But
I did. Well, that's the problem. I skipped the cutscenes and didn't enjoy the game.
Yep.
So what am I doing to myself?
Yeah. No, it's kind of a...
I think a game like
the question's
Uncharted 2...
almost too easy.
Yeah.
Like, the game should be, how much wood would a woodchuck...
Yeah, because like Uncharted 2, that game was perfect for me. And like I wouldn't add or subtract anything to that story.
Sure.
But Fallout 3, I put 100 hours in and could still put more hours in.
Absolutely.
And it's endless, and that's perfect for that game. I think it totally depends on the game, the style of the game, and most importantly, the story. Just like any movie or anything else, can the story support the length,
And not necessarily even the story. Sometimes it's just the repetition.
Yep. Can the gameplay support that much?
I play a lot of Bejeweled Blitz.
I'm playing
It's the
Plants vs.
same
Zombies
game.
right
It's
now. Holy
it's
cow.
just like the same thing over and over. But that sense of repetition has led me to think, God knows how many hours into that.
But it's also a question of your personal, like what you put value on a game. So
Sure.
$50 to one person is a lot of money, and to other people it's not a lot of money. So when they throw that out there and they get a 5-hour single player experience, and that's all they're really going to get out of it. That's something that I think a lot of people start to think about. Well, is that a right amount of game time for my investment that I've made? Because I spent this much money, so I need to really get every cent out of it, or not.
Well, I mean, I think we get in the same argument when we're talking about the cost of map packs, when we're talking about, multiplayer being tacked onto games and trying to increase that amount of time that you'll spend playing it, and whether it's, worth it or not. And
I don't think it's a fair question,
no,
to be honest.
It's not.
Because it's different values to different people. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, you played so much Modern Warfare that it made sense for you to throw that money for those packs.
Yeah. But, for other people that don't play as much or who only are interested in a single-player experience, then, no, of course it's not. And
I personally felt ripped off by that last Dragon Age DLC pack that I beat in 2 hours and didn't get any answers from.
Yeah, there were a couple Mass Effect ones where I'm like, yeah, God.
Not that last one.
So
not
good.
the last one.
That
The last
one
one
was awesome.
Yeah,
No. But before leading up to that, there was a couple that I downloaded. I'm like, I didn't really need this. But, Overlord, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Well, no, Shadow Broker.
Oh, no, Shadow Broker. That's the one.
Shadow Broker,
Not
yeah.
Overlord. Yeah.
But what's good is that they're also trying to figure out the right amount of length for DLC. They're not making a DLC that lasts for 10, 15 hours for a certain price. They're trying to find that, you're going to sit down and play a session. You're going to sit down for that, 1 to 2 hours and get something out of it. And that's the right investment that you make. So I think everybody's trying to figure it out. What's that perfect balance? Because nobody wants to make a 40-hour game that nobody wants to play.
Yeah.
And I don't think you're seeing many of those games anymore.
No.
That's true. And I mean, in terms of expanding my Robo Revolution, Claptrap's Robo Revolution is coming out this week, which is pretty much is out now. I'm just kidding. We don't tape this in advance. Am I ruining all the feedback secrets?
We're live on the internet right now.
I'm sorry. I'm the worst host ever.
That's right.
No, it's true. But
Not true.
But for me, I mean, that's the DLC for that game is expanded. For I think at this point it's bordering on the amount I paid for the game in the box. But I've sunk more time into that than I think I did, Borderlands the first time around. Like I love it. I'm willing to pay more money as long as people give me a solid chunk of game for it.
I actually don't. I mean, I did the same thing. I paid for that Witch Hunt Morgan quest line for Dragon Age.
Let's not even name it anymore.
Sorry, the DLC that shall not be named.
Exactly.
And it was, for me, it was okay. I know you didn't like it as much as I liked it a little more than you did. But
let's put it this way: when the trailer was as cool as the trailer was for it, and promising like, oh, you get to find out what happened, and I won't spoil because there's a million ways Dragon Age could have happened, but I was
no
disappointed.
spoiler alerts, please.
Yeah. I know the game's been out for a year and a half, but I do love Dragon Age, for the record.
And you will be paying whatever they charge you for the Civ 5 content whenever it comes out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would continue to do that. I mean, we're buying music at 99 cents to $2 a pop. It's like they've conditioned me. I'm used to that now, and I'm okay with it. But
But it's cool because my favorite part about it is that I buy the game, and then like even when I'm done with it, I have a compelling reason to hold on to it and keep playing it because they'll keep releasing it. Like Mass Effect 2, I never would have thought I'd still be playing it, and I am. So
yeah,
that's cool.
Absolutely. I get every single thing that comes out for it. There's a bunch of games like that. It's scary, but it's managed to increase the life of games for me for way longer than I would have, kept them around otherwise. So, yeah, it would have been really funny if you actually just answered that like 20 hours and then just shut off the studio and walked away and left everybody wondering. Anyway, so I think that wraps up our question of the week, and that wraps up feedback. So thank you, Casey.
Thank
you. It
you.
was a pleasure to have you. Maybe you'll come back some other time, maybe. Were we horrible? Did you have a miserable time?
It was all right. I could have talked for a full hour about Civ 5.
I know. I wish I could have let you.
By the way, is this the first time you've appeared on the net without the suit on?
I think it is, actually.
He wears real person clothes.
I'm in
Achievement
civilian
unlocked.
clothing.
we're going to mask that on after the fact. Yeah.
Yeah, just Photoshop a suit in. And thanks, JP.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I don't really hate you. It just comes off that way.
Yes.
We sit next to each other, so it's
That's right.
It's okay, guys.
just a miserable existence.
Brother-sister hatred.
Yeah. And thank you, Eric, for joining us on your first feedback
Yeah, it's my first
appearance as
appearance.
well?
It's been a
Awesome.
while.
I hope you come back.
Maybe I will.
Okay,
We'll see.
cool. Fine. Whatever. That was your feedback for the week of, I don't even know. It's been so miserably hot here. I don't even care anymore.
I love it.
It's September 29th, but whatever. Seriously, it's also like 113 degrees, so I hate this town. And thanks, guys. Next week, things. We'll discuss them.
Do you play World of Warcraft or one of its 1,000 clones? Do you know what a mob or pug is? Then you'll want to make sure to check out the MMO Report. It gives you all the massively multiplayer online news you could want in a neat little package named Casey Schreiner. Check out all new episodes every Thursday over at g4tv.com/MMO. You're welcome.